when you add new faces into a team that's competing for the playoffs, it re-energizes things.
Yeah.
Whereas if the deadline comes and goes and there's like no impact pieces, there's no pieces that you're even saying like, oh, this guy is going to get high leverage innings for us, or he's going to get meaningful at bats for us, then the team kind of has like a little bit of a letdown. And then with Chisholm and Leiter, like at least you can say, well, those are two pieces that we could see making an impact in big spots.
Yeah, for sure. And Leiter, it's all about his underlying numbers and the strikeout ability that he has. And he got a big strikeout the other night. He came in, pitched immediately. He got to the ballpark fast. Like they made the trade for him, and then all of a sudden he was up in the bullpen. I was impressed by how quickly he got there and was.
He just had to shave, and then he was out there in the bullpen.
Yeah. Tom's River kid, obviously, part of the Leiter family, the nephew of Al. So look, I think that how do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about some of these moves? Do you want to talk about your feeling after the deadline? Because I feel like our opinions and our feeling is, I have a feeling that I can talk about.
You got a feeling and you need more cowbell?
Yeah. As a fan, when I see what happened, and I think all of us at this point would be hard pressed not to be swayed by what Jazz Chisholm has already done and did by Tuesday night, because I think that does affect the way that we're thinking right now. It does. It just chemically, like, our brain can't get past that. And when you have a new guy that's got this big personality, who is just like a smile that lights up the room, that is willing to do anything on the baseball field, and then comes out and has this like, look, I had not seen Jazz Chisholm play very much at all. So a lot of this is new to me in my eyes watching him play. And this dude just has an effortless swing. And the fact that he takes his hand off the bat and just does it. I've been trying to place who it is, someone from like the 90s that he reminds me of, and I can't place it, but you're
talking about with his swing specifically?
His swing. Yeah, where he lets go of the bat. There's someone that's like burned in my brain right now that I cannot place. That's driving me a little insane.
Is it the crime dog, Fred McGriff?
No, I heard that comparison. I don't think that's it. There was somebody else, but anyway,
still one of the best baseball nicknames of all time, the crime
dog. Yeah, but so here's my thoughts. I think one, I didn't know Jazz could just move over and play third like he is. Like, that's amazing. And that kind of hits the flexibility that I was talking about with Rendifo. That was kind of what I was looking at. That's where you and I varied, I think, is like what that flexibility was. And the fact that Jazz Chisholm comes in, can play second base, can play the outfield, and can play third base. We saw it happen. He played third base, and he did it just fine. Mm-hmm. In fact, he made a play that he didn't make was probably the most eye-popping one to me, was when he went away from his body, towards the line, towards the bag, and got a glove on a ball that he had no business getting a glove on. So just like his instincts, his first step is really strong. The guy's a ball player, no doubt about it. And he's
incredibly athletic. Obviously,
yes,
to be able to play center field and second base, you obviously have to be incredibly athletic. And so that athleticism is definitely playing at third base, even if it's going to take him a little bit more time to feel fully comfortable there. But the fact that
he doesn't look uncomfortable. Uncomfortable.
The fact that he's just seemingly has the attitude of, yeah, put me at third base. Yeah. I want to be on a competing team. I want to be on the Yankees. Just put me at third base.
Yep.
The difference in mentality between that and Gleyber Torres being like, no, I'm a second baseman, it's just so night and day, and it's just so refreshing, and it's why I love a player like Jazz Chisholm and why I hate a player like Gleyber Torres.
Yeah. So the obvious need that we all identified, pretty much everybody that's a Yankees fan identified, was the bullpen. The bullpen needed to be addressed, and they addressed it in certain areas. Obviously, Leiter, they got who they believe will put up good numbers, gives them the swing and miss. I don't disagree. I think it's a good option out there right now. And then they made a couple other smaller moves that felt like some of the moves that they've been making throughout the year, just via trade rather than free agency or people DFAing and then all of a sudden them coming up and giving cash considerations. Kind of felt like some of those moves.
So the Leiter trade is one that you knew they would make at the deadline because they've made this in the past where you look at the traditional baseball numbers for Leiter and you're like, career 4.53 ERA, like nothing is popping off the screen.
He's not a young guy. He's 33 years old, so he's got a sample size.
But his FIP this year is much better than his actual ERA. And then you look at his expected numbers, expected ERA in the 97th percentile, expected batting average in the 95th percentile. There's a ton of, just Google Mark Leiter StatCast and go to his Baseball Savant page and you'll see what I'm talking about. And this is the type of player that you knew the Yankees would target at the deadline to get value out of in their bullpen. So from that standpoint, I like the move. But I would have liked to see also a move, an additional bullpen move where you look at the regular numbers and you say, yeah, that makes sense. Like this guy's pitched in high leverage spots for another team and has gotten big outs. And so could Leiter turn into that? Sure. Could some of the other guys, Efros, come back from injury and also help add bullpen depth? Absolutely. But it still felt underwhelming that Leiter Jr. was the move in the bullpen at the deadline when you and I have been saying they need 3 relief pitchers since like April 20th.
Yeah, 100%. That's my feeling, is that they needed to add more to the bullpen. The bullpen is still unstable, in my opinion. And I understand, listening to what Cashman has said, how he likes the team, how he likes the roster construction.
What's he going to say at this point? The deadline is coming. He's not going to be like, no, good luck. We're crossing our fingers out there.
That said, like the price for some of these relievers that aren't like fully, there was no. Urseg was maybe the most dominant reliever that was dealt, or the guy from the Angels that went to Philly, possibly those guys. But the price on their heads was large, very large. And I understand Urseg, who's a guy I wanted to get, is controlled for a very long time. That would have been one to pay for. But again, like you look at his career numbers too, and we know that some of these bullpen guys can be flash in the pans, and then all of a sudden they're not the same guy the next year. I mean, there's multiple, opportunities to look at examples of that. And so one of the things that we talked about was that I didn't think that the Yankees had it's not the depth, but the high prospects, that they were the middle of their prospect, not number 1 and 2 with Dominguez and Spencer Jones. You go past that and it's just not all that impressive. And I think that is what put them in a spot to, one, not be able to compete for some of these guys, because I think there were better packages being offered, which was part of my concern going into this. I didn't think they had a ton, and I didn't think they were going to add a lot of dollars to this. They had to do it with prospects, and it was just a matter of being competitive. And I don't think in some cases they were competitive, to be honest.
We just talked last episode about the Chisholm trade. So Agustin Ramirez was the 3 prospect at the midseason deadline for the Yankees, right?
Yes.
Didn't he get bumped up?
He had moved up to number 3 from Baseball America,
right?
And I think Pipeline had him at 20.
Okay, but so you look at
he was probably but
MLB Pipeline had him at 20. MLB Pipelines was a preseason ranking,
season. Correct.
So I'm sure MLB Pipeline would have ranked him, maybe if it's not 3, top 5 in the Yankee system. Okay,
sure.
So he then is a guy that was the next in line after Dominguez and Jones that they traded.
And they traded him.
Right.
But I'm for a position player.
No, I'm agreeing. No, I'm agreeing with you. So it's like, okay, you trade him away for Chisholm. Mm-hmm. Now what's left to go get a reliever? Then what's left? It's
Will
like there's
Warren.
not right. There's not a whole.
You're looking at guys like Will Warren and some of the infield prospects that they have. Some of the recent draft picks. George Lombard that could have been dealt, but again, like the value there, I don't know. So I think that's where there was probably some issues, and there just weren't a ton of dominant guys that were dealt at the end of the day. So I think it's underwhelming. If we gave it a grade, I would again, like the Jazz Chisholm thing just is already infected my brain with how I feel about it. So, but I think it's like a B.
No.
I was going to say
there's no way this is a B
with Chisholm. If I have to isolate Chisholm, but on the pitching side, I think it was a C- of addressing the pitching.
The Chisholm trade seems like it's great, and he seems like after 5 games seems like a great fit in this lineup, and so the Chisholm trade you can call an A, but the biggest need all season has been bullpen, and they didn't address that, barring one guy. I'm sorry, that's an F.
That's what I'm saying. So
you
have to
the pitching side is an F.
I'm separating them because they did Look, Leiter was one of the top strikeout guys that was on the market. That was one of the things that we were asking for. Get a strikeout guy. You need a guy to be able to put somebody away. We saw it again with Clay Holmes, where he prolonged the game.
He's
to go
just
into
getting
extra
unlucky.
innings.
Brian Cashman thinks he's just getting unlucky.
Well, some of it is unlucky because some of those were a lot of slow ground balls that were unfortunately not
But
fielded.
do you know what a contact pitcher
He does that.
brings
I
in?
understand that. He also induced
Brings
a double
in bad
play.
luck into the game.
He also, I know he does, but he also induced a double play to get out of and save the game yesterday. So it goes both ways. So I agree. I think it's going to be every single time he comes in, it's going to be an adventure. It is. That's what we're going to be dealing with, and unfortunately, they're going to make contact. And unless
Not just Clay Holmes. I think anytime the Yankees have a narrow lead in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, you're going to be holding your breath for an hour as they try and navigate those 9 outs.
Yep.
No matter who comes into the game. Clay Holmes, Weaver, Leiter, when Efros comes up,
infield
Tommy
defense
Kahnle.
is going to be highlighted big time towards the end of the year.
I don't feel good about any of those guys getting 3 outs in a 1-run game. Clearly they're doing it in some spots, but like it's kind of a coin flip in a lot of cases. I mean, even you saw this series against the Phillies, they ended up winning all the games, but they blew the game.